pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First on our agenda are comments from our superintendent, Mrs. Trusclair.
Thank you, President Angel. Good evening, everyone. I want to begin tonight by congratulating all of our teachers who were nominated for the 2022 Teacher Awards. Through the numerous nominations received for this program, it is evident that our teachers are impacting young lives on a daily basis. I am proud to share that 10 of the 12 finalists were LPSS educators, and I want to recognize the winners of that evening. In the high school division, Mr. Scotty Walker of Lafayette High School, middle school, Charity Turpo of Acadian Middle School, and Morgan Mercado of Woodville Elementary. This annual event, hosted by United Way of Acadiana and sponsored by Love Our Schools, is a spectacular event honoring our educators. I'm excited this evening to announce that Ms. Latika McGee, Director of Federal Programs, was recognized as a 2022 State Leadership recipient by the National Association of Federal Education Program Administrators. Ms. McGee was selected for demonstrating outstanding dedication, leadership, and commitment to the Louisiana Association of School Administrators of Federally Assisted Programs. We are proud to have Ms. McGee leading the team in our federal programs, and we are thankful and grateful for her dedication to LPSS. I would like to congratulate another Teacher of the Year from Woodville Elementary, Ms. Stacy Stutes, for being selected as a 2022-23 Teacher of the Year state semifinalist. Ms. Stutes has been teaching for 13 years as a fourth grade ELA teacher. To move on to the next level in this selection process as a semifinalist is a huge honor, and we wish her the best of luck. This month, the United Way of Acadiana hosted its annual meeting. While we were excited to watch our band students from J. Wallace James perform for the guests, we were truly surprised and honored to receive United Way's 2022 Champion Award for the work that we collectively do to improve education in our community. Our elementary fitness meet was held at Northside High School recently. 4 students have been selected based on their performance to represent the Lafayette Parish school system at the state fitness meet. Representing Charles Burke Elementary will be Addison Orno and Eli Bonney, and representing Ernest Gallette Elementary will be Emma Claire Hargrave and Landon Moran. We would like to wish these students the best of luck in the upcoming state fitness meet. This past weekend, we joined families at the Students Art Expo 2022. It was a beautiful day to be downtown and enjoy our students' work, live performances, and art activities. We are proud to showcase the creativity and talents of so many of our LPSS students. The artwork featured on the poster for this year's event, titled Family, was created by 2 6th grade LJ Alamo students, Kel Marceau and Kenya Taylor. Congratulations to both of these students. And finally, Northside High School, with the support of their cafe, had the honor of hosting Chief Judge Nadette Jolivet Brown. Chief Judge is the first African American woman appointed to the Louisiana Federal District Court and the first African American district judge elevated to the position of Chief Judge in the Eastern District of Louisiana in the court's 200-year history. Chief Brown spoke to the students in the law studies and the students in the Magnet Academy of Legal Studies, and junior and senior leaders in the school. She spoke of her beginnings living in Lafayette and attending Northside High School, where she graduated and moved on to earn degrees in Lafayette and New Orleans. Mr. President, this concludes my opening statements.
Thank you very much. The next Next 12 items will be informational items. And we'll begin with the first one, which is recognition of Colin Alimont, who's responsible for some very important safety kits that are in our schools. Mr. Broussard.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today I have the distinct pleasure to introduce everybody to Colin Alimont. He's a 15-year-old sophomore at Lafayette High School. He is the son of Nick Alimont and Sherry and Ken Laporte. Colin has been enrolled in the French Immersion program for the last 11 years. He's a 2-year member of the Acadiana Ambulance Explorer program and serves as a field training officer mentoring young explorers. He's earned his CPR, basic life support, Stop the Bleed, and trauma certifications, as well as completed over 400 hours assisting paramedics through ride-alongs. Colin is also part of the Police Explorer program, where he serves as a senior officer. Last summer, he was awarded the Top Gun Award for marksmanship at the Lafayette Police Department range. He plans to become either a critical care paramedic with Acadian Ambulance or a SWAT medic with the Lafayette Police Department. Colin recently reached out to Superintendent Trosclair with the idea of placing some kits called Stop the Bleed kits. For those of you that aren't aware of these are kits that can be used in a traumatic event to stop the flow of blood. There's a tourniquet, special kinds of dressings and things like that in these kits. He originally came forward and suggested that we do this for Lafayette High. We've kind of been able to work some things, and what we actually are going to do, we're going to be placing 15 of these kits at every single one of our schools in the parish. We're also, the training for our school nurses is going to be taking place on the 27th. They're then going to go back to our schools and train the crisis response teams, and then also some of our fellow teachers. And they're going to be placed strategically around the school. Now, Colin initially requested, like I said, it for Lafayette High, but he made a very, very strong statement in his email. He said, you know, if you think about it, we have AED devices at every single high school and school, and we hope we never, ever have to use them. This is that kind of same scenario. You know, we hope we never have to use them, but if we do, they'll be there. So at this time, I'd like for Colin to come up. He does not want to speak in front of the crowd, but we have a little certificate to give him at this time.
Colin, as I told you before the meeting, I was so impressed with your email that I absolutely knew it wasn't something that, and I spoke with his mother as well before, something that we could ignore. So because of Colin's efforts, every school in this district is now impacted in a very positive way. So congratulations, Colin. And family, you're welcome to stay or you're welcome to leave. Colin, I think they want to take you wherever you want to eat.
Avant de continuer, je vais vous dire comment content j'ai parce que Colin a pu étudier français et puis il parle français. Et moi, je suis fier qu'il parle français. Je me souhaite que tu parles français toujours. He knows what I said. Our next informational item is a presentation from the Lafayette Economic Development Agency concerning opportunities for small business. Ms. Morrison, you want to introduce the speaker?
Yes, I will. Gives me pleasure to introduce Miss Mandy Thomas, and she's going to share information on economic development agencies and the opportunities for small businesses. So we thank Ms. Thomas for being with us today, and she's a Northside graduate.
Oh, I was going to say it. Well, thank you, and good evening, everyone, and congrats to Mr. Allemont. I go way back with your dad, so I would embarrass you a little more, but congrats to you. We need more students thinking ahead, thinking forward like you. But it's already been mentioned, I'm a proud Northside High graduate. Looking forward to continuing to work with LPSS in my new role here in Lafayette at the Lafayette Economic Development Authority, coming from 9+ years being number 2 at the State Department of Economic Development. So it's great to be here at home, and you all may know my other half. I'm not going to say better half, Marcus Thomas. Mr. Marcus Thomas, who I think over the years probably wrangled you quite a bit over issues on behalf of educators. I'm being diplomatic here. But I was visiting with Superintendent Trosclair. We were talking about better ways that my organization can collaborate with LPSS for workforce development and helping students understand opportunities for their future. And we just stumbled upon a conversation about disadvantaged business enterprises, and Ms. Morrison as well reached out and invited me just to share some information which may be helpful to you all as you proceed and consider a program or at least some outreach to disadvantaged businesses. And so this is something that was an area that I worked on at the state level, trying to level the playing field and provide opportunities for disadvantaged businesses to be able to participate in procurement with state government. And I've seen several programs at the local level, and obviously there are programs at the federal level as well. Just to share that, I hope I'm not offending anyone, but DBEs is a term that we use loosely in government. Disadvantaged business enterprises are those entities that are owned at least 51% by a socially or economically disadvantaged individual, and those are considered to be African Americans, Hispanics, Native Americans, or Asian Pacific Americans, as well as women. And then there are other groups in federal law that are considered to be disadvantaged as well. And there are also programs specific to veteran-owned businesses that are just as equally important. Various programs have been established at the different levels of government, and it really depends on your own prerogative as to how far you set your program to go. There are some programs that are specific to just outreach. In other words, raising awareness of opportunities to bid on procurements with LPSS or whatever government entity. There are outreach programs. There are programs to certify disadvantaged businesses. There are programs such as the state program that I worked on, the Hudson Initiative, named after the late Doc Hudson from St. Landry Parish, former legislator. That program provides a 10% additional points on any bid submitted by a Hudson certified entity, and that's a small business, many of whom are women and minority-owned businesses that are seeking to do business with state government. The 10 percentage points, essentially all else being equal, all qualifications, all historical experiences and skill set, that 10 percentage points can sometimes make a difference at providing an opportunity for a DBE to get some work with a governmental entity. There are set-asides, there are fair share programs where a carve out of your budget, of your procurement budget, is set aside for those entities. And so there are myriad options that you consider if you do want to pursue this. There's also a provision at the state level that allows for small purchases to do sole source. So purchases less than $30,000, if a business is Hudson certified, they could potentially, that state entity could sole source purchases of services or goods from those entities. Several resources for you all at Louisiana Economic Development. They administer, along with the Office of State Procurement, the Hudson Initiative. I've had several entities at the local level reach out and ask for information on that so they can replicate it or tailor it to their own needs. The other thing that's important too about considering a DBE program, there is sometimes a knowledge gap in doing business with government, particularly for disadvantaged businesses. And so organizations like mine, like the SBDC at UL, like the Lead Center at UL and their Accelerate Northside program can help those businesses, first of all, build their capacity to do business with government, make sure they have the proper certifications with the Secretary of State, make sure they have their taxes paid and other registrations and requirements. A couple other things, bonding tends to be an issue. There is a bonding assistance program at the state level that provides assistance to ensure that small businesses can get bonded. I know licensing and bonding is critical. And then there's a contractor accreditation institute where the state partners up with the community technical college system to coach these businesses, these contractors or contractor related businesses, how to adequately and properly approach government to do business with them. Couple of resources. East Baton Rouge School System has a program that would be very helpful and informative. Mr. John Smith over there, I can help connect you all with them. I can help connect you all to the Office of State Procurement, as well as LED Small Business Services Division that oversees these programs, as well as Ms. Paula Roddy over at the Department of Transportation. DOT has its own separate DBE certification program. So I just hope that was informative for you all. My organization, as we move forward, one of our focus areas will be small business development. We already focus on entrepreneurship through the Opportunity Machine, working with those second stage, high growth, scalable startups. Now we're gonna add a leg of focus for small businesses and particularly disadvantaged businesses, so we can be a resource for y'all too. All right, did I do under 5 minutes?
Yes.
Yay!
Mandy, I had a question about if they wanted to reach out to you, call you directly.
Yes.
I know we have 2 links on our agenda
Okay.
where they could contact you. And also, I wanted to state that at SLCC, we do have a certification exam for contractors. Many contractors have gotten their certifications
Yes,
with us.
that's that Contractors Accreditation Institute. We team up with all of LCTCS institutions for that.
Okay, great.
Mhm.
Thank you very much.
Yes, Mandy at Lafayette.org, and it's MANDI. Happy to be a resource for anybody. Thanks.
Thank you. Great information.
Thank you. Our next informational item is that we wish to announce that the Employee Retire Insurance Advisory Committee has a vacancy on that committee, and the vacancy needs to be someone under our employ in the food service department. So if anyone in the food service department is interested in serving on the Employee Insurance Advisory Committee, please contact Ms. Nancy Mounts. Thank you. Item 2.4, we're not going to have a special budget meeting. Number 3, we're going to move on to the next budget meeting. Number 2.5, Superintendent Evaluation Timeline. I would defer to Mr. Centini.
Thank you, Mr. President. Small correction to the public content on this agenda item. The evaluation forms returned to the superintendent's office with board member signature across a sealed envelope will happen on May 11th instead of April 11th. And then it is TBD on scoring tabulators to meet and compile, review the evaluation forms, and then June 8th will be when the compiled results are presented to the board in executive session. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, sir. The next informational item is Child Nutritional Services, USDA meal requirements. Mr. Touchette, Ms. Sherville.
Good evening, members of the board, Ms. Trosclair, administration, and our public audience. My name is Renee Sherville, Director of Child Nutrition Services, and the purpose of this information item is to provide an update on our USDA meal requirements and how we have met those challenges from March of 2020 to the present time. During this 2 years, we have successfully been able to maintain compliance with those regulations, both on the federal and the state level, and maintain our local policies, while facing all of the challenges that we have as other districts in our state and across the country have also faced, all the while continuing to serve our students here in the classroom, as well as some outreach during our summer months, even on weekends, through some programs that we were able to take advantage of. Some of the local challenges that we've had are, the information is provided at your seat in presentation form, but just in general, in summary, we provided information on the student meal participation over time, which has fluctuated based on different styles of service, different classroom learning, virtual versus in the classroom. The meal service challenges that we've had have a lot to do with the federal standards, which are pretty general. What we feed the students, how we feed the students, and specifically with limitations on a few nutrients like sodium, fat, sugar, the usual. Our menu planning and many of the revisions that we do had to face with the challenges as far as procuring food and food deliveries. The meal service to the classroom for our hybrid and virtual students was quite successful in that we offered our hybrid students, our virtual students and the hybrid students the ability to pick up meals when they weren't at school. And at this time, even though we're doing classroom meals, we're transitioning back to the cafeteria, which is a great plus for everyone. It allows us to sort of adjust the challenges that we've had in our department as we try to use our current inventory, which has been quite hard because, as you all know, we've been bagging and boxing meals for quite some time, and it's sort of hard to put hot vegetables in a bag or things like that. So we've had to use portioned items and various things that could be bagged. So a lot of our existing inventory was not able to be used. We have had, as every other business, shortages on delivery. We've had instances where our bids could not be met. We had to go to local vendors to be able to procure some of the items that we need to try and meet our meal requirements. So it's been a challenge. We've introduced some new vendors and a lot of new products that we have not used before that are able to meet our guidelines. The meal packaging, the supplies that we need for our meal packaging in order for it to go to the classroom or even stay in the cafeteria all have to be disposable at this time. And that's mainly based on our staff shortages and just the combinations of meals that administrators at the school sites have planned for their schools. Not everybody is ready to go back into the cafeteria, so we do look forward to having that happen at the beginning of the new school year. One of the major things that we've had to adjust the way we do things is our staff shortages. We've implemented some new employment practices. We've streamlined our hiring process. We've We've changed a lot of the duties, the duties at the school site because of the staff shortages and because of the way we have to serve the students. It's more or less a trade-off where they're not doing some of the duties that they did when they were actually cooking and serving food in the cafeteria. They've had to resort to changing those and altering to suit the meal service. As far as the staff shortage goes, we're going to be having a job fair for support staff up in May, and we're hoping to attract some applicants that would be willing to fill the void. We're presently at 225 full-time, but we do have in excess of 50 vacancies that we could fill to fully staff all of our sites. I do know that that the percentage increase that is going to take place in this for salaries in the new school year will really help to attract some new applicants. I really wanted to take the opportunity to recognize the school site staff, the school site administrators, their faculty, the custodial staff, who have day in and day out have helped us to be able to provide meals for our students. Because of our staff shortages, many schools would not be able to do that if we would not have the help, and it's just been a combined effort to be able to get that done in a timely manner, so that we don't lose instructional time, so that we don't fall short on the meals that we have to feed the students. And I would especially want to recognize all of the child nutrition service staff. They have just covered in ways that working short, where they used to have 6 people, they might have 2, and we just they've just stepped up to the plate to be able to provide the students, because to them that is the most important thing, providing our students. So we do appreciate them. The first week in May is Food Service Workers Week, and I just wanted to recognize them for all the hard work and dedication to our child nutrition program.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Overville. You're absolutely right. The nimbleness of your staff to shift to grab and go in the early days of the pandemic to, delivery in the classroom and really making sure that the food kept getting to our students was exemplary. The only question I have is, as we've removed all of the restrictions related to COVID from the schools, I appreciate that the staffing issue really kind of puts a damper on us being able to serve hot meals, although that's increased recently. Is that correct? Do you have any recent statistics on how many hot meals per week we've been serving to our students?
Well,
and then, where we are as far as addressing getting back to a normal cadence on that front?
Yes, well, actually, from the very beginning, every entree meal has been a hot meal. We don't have product where we would serve a cold sandwich
Let me rephrase. I'm
for
sorry.
lunch, but
something that's been cooked in a pot.
oh, okay.
Not heated out of a wrapper. That's
Right.
kind of what I meant.
Okay. 3 days a week we do that type of meal, the usual hot entree with side vegetables, but all of our entrees are hot, and and we do a lot of bag lunch. We still do a lot of bag lunches, so it's a combined thing. And of course, different schools will use different menus, but we do approximately 20,000 lunch meals a day. Around half of that we would serve breakfast meals, about 10,000 per day.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm sorry, you have a question? Mr.
Consent.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on our informational item are personnel changes. Mr. Mouton.
Good evening. I have the pleasure of introducing one principal this evening. Miss Vanessa Knott, principal of Karen Crow High School. Ms. Knott holds a Bachelor's of Science in Education from the University of Southwestern Louisiana and a Master's of Education in Curriculum and Instruction from Louisiana State University in Shreveport, Louisiana. She has taught ELA at Karen Crow Middle School and L.J. Alamo Middle School. She has served as the instructional leader at Karen Crow High School, a master teacher for the a master teacher of ELA for the Lafayette Parish Transformation Zone, a data liaison for Karen Crow High School, an itinerant assistant principal at both Karen Crow and Northside High Schools, and most recently she has served as the interim principal at Karen Crow High School. She has been honored as Teacher of the Year at Karen Crow Middle and L.J. Alamo and is an LEF School Impact Grant recipient. Ms. Knott looks forward to continuing the work with the Karen Crow High School community. She will refer to it as home because it is for her, to prepare her students for the future. Ms. Vanessa Knott, principal of Karen Crow High School.
Thank you, Mr. Mouton. I am also a Northside High School graduate. Oh, she left. Thank you, Superintendent Trosclair, President Angel, and members of the board for giving me the opportunity to serve as Karen Crow High School's principal. I have the privilege of leading an outstanding faculty and staff, and together we will continue to set high expectations for student learning. We will also improve classroom instruction in an effort to increase our assessment index, and we will prioritize community involvement. I promise all of you that Karen Crow High School will be recognized as a school of academic excellence, and I thank you for entrusting me in this endeavor.
Thank you, Ms. Knott. Just for your information, I taught your husband in the 7th and 8th grade at Karen Crow, and I used to fish with your late father-in-law. All very best to you. I guess not everyone could have graduated from Karen Crow High School, I understand. And if y'all have another meeting to attend, you can feel free to leave. All right, next item under our informational items or presentation of the Prairie Elementary School design. Mr. Brute.
Good evening. Good evening, board. Well, President, General Board, Superintendent Trosclair, and the general public. My name is Joseph Brew. I'm Director of New Construction, and proud to do a brief presentation on the status of the Prairie Elementary School. Before I do that, I want to quickly introduce the key players of the team. The architect of record is Portia Pruitt. Any representatives of Portia Pruitt? There's Philippe. And the design consultant of the architect is Grace Hebert Curtis. And David, if you would come up, he is going to lead the presentation. And we won't take a whole lot of your time, but we really look forward to showing you the progress that we've made. We're really excited about it. We've had a town hall meeting and been able to show it to the masses, and I think they're excited also. But I don't want to leave out the CM at risk contractor, the representative of JB Mouton. Stuart, would you please stand? And Jaron. That's the team, and they're making it happen. So without further ado, let's do a small brief presentation.
Okay, y'all can see what I'm. All right, thank you for the opportunity to show you guys what we've been working on. I'll tell you what, we've had the privilege of working on this project as well as the Truman project, and from the board, Superintendent Trosclair, Joseph, Kyle, all the way to the teachers. It's really, I mean, it's really inspiring seeing kind of everybody pulling in the same direction for the kids, the community, And we're excited to show you some of the spaces that we've created to really support the kids and the teachers. So one of the first things we're going to do is walk you through the process and then show you where we ended up. So we started off walking through the existing school and meeting with Ms. Boer and seeing what she needs, but also walking through the most recent school, which was BO, and seeing what she likes, what she doesn't like. One of the things she liked a lot, and it seems like everybody loves, is that large mall space right when you walk in. The kids love it, the parents love it. But some of the other things we heard was that Prairie is so unique in its French immersion program. So how do we take that and really celebrate it, make it evident from the second you walk into the school that this is a French immersion program? Also, their media specialist, she's a rock star, she's awesome, all the kids love her. But right now their media center is at the very end of the campus away from the classroom. So we talked about this idea of making the media center a hub or a living room for the school that really pulls kids into it and welcomes the community. Creating a fun and engaging environment for the kids, but making sure that we do this strategically so that when you're in the school, we use the colors and the design to create wayfinding opportunities so the kids are comfortable in their environment, they know where they need to go. And then opportunities for indoor play. Right now there's that huge pavilion outside, but in bad weather, the kids don't have a place to go and exert their energy. So creating opportunities on the inside of the building to support that, and then connections to outdoors. So this is a quick kind of early schematic that we did, just that's showing the overall layout of the building. On the south side of this drawing, you'll know that there's that behavioral health building. So we really wanted to make sure that the outdoor play area and the space where kids are going to be outside of the building is on the opposite side of the building from that site, really in this large open green space. And then taking that idea of the mall, this large open space, and really creating that at the core, the heart of the school, and leveraging that to divide the core academic space and all the learning communities on one side, and then the shared spaces, which would be your commons, your multi-purpose room, your cafeteria, on the opposite side of the building. And for one, it's where all the community would access the site or the school, and that mall creates a safe barrier allowing you to keep the rest of your classroom secure. But secondly, it acts as a sound buffer for all your loud activities during the school day. Your core academic spaces are separated from them. So looking at the overall plan, one of the things you can see is the blue at the knuckles of these learning communities, that idea of inclusiveness and making sure that special education was not its own learning community, but distributed throughout the school. So if you had a kid that was in second grade or fourth grade that could push into other classes, they wanted to make sure that they were right next to those learning communities. So you'll see that the special education classrooms are actually integrated into these learning communities. And then on the south side, you can see the media center, how it starts to open up to the corridor, really creating this open environment to receive people when they walk in. And one of the things we talked a lot about was intervention and learning loss from COVID, and how do we create spaces that can support intervention but still be leveraged as multi-use spaces over time, and not creating a lot of program that's wasteful once kids are brought back up to speed. So there's a lot of conversation about how we really leverage that corridor or that mall space for a small pullout, and then it can be used for other activities when it's not being used for that. So this is a quick overview of the site plan. So you can see one of the things that's always important in schools is carpool circulation. On the south side of the site, we've got 4 lanes of carpool stacking on site. So we should have plenty queue space to keep all the cars off of Rue de Billiers, and then a separate entry on the north side of the site for all the buses. So the buses would come in the north drive, drop off at the front of the school. In addition, I'm working with J.B. Mouton and our landscape and civil designers. We started looking at ways to save money and leverage the resources that we have on the site. So a lot of the retention we have to do, we're going to dig up the dirt, but instead of hauling it off, paying to haul it off site, we're going to put that dirt on the north side of the school where the kids' play area is. So you can see that there's these areas where it's mounded up, so the playgrounds will be built up 2 or 3 feet, and there's just this real fun space for kids to run around, have fun, wear themselves out, and play. And then the lighter green space you see in the middle with the trike trail, that's actually the pre-K kinder play area, because they need their dedicated play space and their scale equipment. So I hit on it earlier, but really this idea of celebrating French immersion, and we wanted to make sure that the second you walked in the door, you knew that this was a French immersion campus. So what we did was we made this play on everywhere you're at. It's an opportunity for learning French. So from when you walk in the door and you're welcomed, having these translations for people that visit, and you can't see it, but right above my head is, in the rendering, is saying goodbye, and the translation's there. But really taking that and making it a learning opportunity for parents, kids, anybody that visits the school. And then just through here, this is that secure vestibule, single point of entry. You can see through the glass, you're already engaged in that open media center. And this connects to that mall space that really moves through the building. So this is a shot of that mall space. So we talked about making this space fun but functional. So a lot of the colors you see, the blue, the orange, the red, those actually represent different grade levels. So the second a kid or a parent walks into the school, you can tell them your 4th grade student is in the orange learning community, and they can walk into the mall and easily find their way through the campus without having to have a whole bunch of wayfinding throughout the school. On the right-hand side, that's the media center, so you can see how it's a really open environment. The media specialist sits right underneath that orange cap, so that speech teachers or different interventionists can pull kids, bring them into here. You see the small group spaces underneath the blue where it says grow right there. So pull kids out, have small group sessions. It's right next to the learning communities, very accessible, but also teachers could push kids out knowing that the media specialists can still see them, trying to make sure we have a lot of eyes on the street to support these spaces. And then creating different types of environments throughout this space. So right here is a small learning stair where a teacher or librarian could read a book to the kids, but also kids could all sit on there for like a large group instruction. Really making sure that there's different environments for kids and teachers to engage one another in a variety of ways throughout the building. And then moving back into the commons, so the multi-purpose room, one of the things whenever we visit BO, they really like this idea of the larger space and the multi-purpose room and the cafeteria being able to connect to one another. But the multi-purpose room itself, the proportions and the scale didn't work for how the physical education teachers wanted to use it. So we made sure through working with them and understanding how they wanted to utilize the space that we properly sized the multi-purpose room. And this is an example. You can see we've got a large wall that connects the commons to the multi-purpose room so that those two spaces can open up and really create a large gathering space for community events, for Grandparents' Day, whatever it might be. And then the band room is what you see kind of behind the white screen. So leveraging program space that we already had in the program with operable walls, so you can open that up and use the band room as a stage or for events. And then going to the outside of the building, we knew this was an elementary school, but the back end of the building is stacked 2 stories. We wanted to keep the front elevation along Rue de Billiers scaled down, knowing that you are going to have your littles, your pre-K kinders coming up to the building. We didn't want it to be overpowering. So the front of the building is very scaled down, a single story, but at the same time that mall kind of comes through and really opens up, lots of natural light, a wood finish material around the interior that really creates kind of that sense of warmth, welcoming, opening its door to the community. And then coming around, these are the classroom wings on the back of the building, right in the middle at that hinge point. That's the science room. But you can see that the wayfinding and the colors that are represented in the floor plan and the interior of the space are carried through to the exterior of the building as well. So you can really kind of see the different programmatic elements and grade levels, even from the exterior of the building. And it also adds a little color, makes it feel more like an educational space. So real quick on schedule, so Joseph and I and the team and Philippe sat down towards the end of last year and all made a commitment to one another to get this school open for July of 2023. So we've been working hard. Joseph has been working with us every step of the way to push and make sure we meet that schedule. But I'm sure a lot of you've seen the pictures with J.B. Mouton started moving dirt this week. So Mr. Latchelet is not here, but he was a key part in making sure that we got the proper documentation to make sure that we got a head start on construction. But we just issued final drawings, which are being priced, started site work, and we are expecting to complete this project for July of 2023 for our August opening. And then lastly, I've got a quick video. that just walks through the campus. You can see even the building signage. We try to bring it down for the kids so that way they could touch it, walk by it. The room on the left is the art room, so you'll have kids hands-on learning, really putting learning on display at the school. And on all these community spaces, you see all the colors from the different learning communities get pulled together, and it represents every learning community with a variety of colors. And then this is towards the end of the building. You've got your 4th and 5th grade levels that are stacked on top. But you can see your orange, your green, your yellow, your wayfinding is very visible. Another small group space for kids to bring their kids out of the classroom, teach them in a different environment. And then this is right outside of the multi-purpose room in the commons. And even in these spaces, really playing on a play on words on the types of activities that happen in that space, and then the French translation for that. And that's it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Brew, don't sit down just yet. I have another one for you. Unless we have any questions concerning this project. The Prairie Elementary, is that the one that I think I skipped 2.8 Prairie Elementary?
Yes, the change order.
Yeah.
Yes, so it's part of an early release package. One of the benefits of having the CMOR on the project, it allows us to explore options to the benefit of the project before we officially receive our GMP. So that's what's happened here. I just wanted to share it with the board because of the scale, but also allow you to understand that this change order, when we get the GMP submitted really soon, the change order will not show itself and reveal itself as an extra cost. It will be recouped when we get the GMP, and the GMP will be reflected according to this change order. So if there
Any
did I miss
questions?
anything? Okay.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Ms. LeBou?
I just want to say this is the first time I've been on the board, and I've seen a savings, like a change order where we get back money. So I'm very impressed. Thank you.
And it
Thank you
also
both.
gives
Thank
us
you.
a benefit advantage to the schedule, so I think that it also adds to the savings and the benefit of it. We get a 2-month advance on the overall schedule.
All right, thank you. Our next informational item is an update on the Truman Early Learning Center by Curtis Architects. Board along, Mr. Touchette.
Good evening, members of the board. Kyle Bordelon, Director of Planning and Facilities. We have this evening a presentation on the Truman Early Learning Center. We had a town hall meeting on March the 24th for the Truman project, and Grace Abear Curtis is the architects on that project, so they will be presenting tonight.
Hello again. So this has been another really fun project. This project actually being one of the only new early learning centers in the state from the ground up. We knew it was an opportunity for not only the school system, but really through the state and the nation to do something that really rethinks education and meets the needs of our kids and our teachers. And in order to make sure that we did that, we actually brought in a national group, DLR Group, who's the #1 K-12 group in the country, who we've worked with in the past, because they've actually done these facilities around the country. And they brought their expertise and really a variety of virtual tours to show all of the current school leadership, to show them what's happening around the country and around the world, and then decide what works best for the Lafayette school system. So our visioning team was a pretty large group, and included everybody from school board members to teachers to security resource officers, down to the custodian. She was sitting at the back at first and then got a little excited and came and joined the group with us and just said she didn't want to wax her floors and she'd be good. But so we really had a really engaged group. It's been a fun process, and I think through this process we really became friends. But the first things we did was develop guiding principles. What's really important that it's inherent in the design of the facility. One of those is social emotional support, not only for our learners but also our educators. We need to make sure that we talked about staff shortages, but making sure that we create spaces that really support our educators and promote them. Making sure the spaces that we build and the furniture that we put in them are flexible and adaptable to meet multiple needs and be timeless. Inquiry-based teaching and learning, so not just the direct instruction where kids are being taught to by teachers, but kids actually applying skills and hands-on learning. Interactive and flexible technology. Technology is always evolving. We wanted to make sure that we build this building not to just meet the technological needs of today, but to grow in the future. And then secure learner autonomy, so making sure that we've got spaces for kids to experiment, experience things, move around, be comfortable, but at the same time create a really secure and safe environment for our students. So one of the exercises we did as part of this programming exercise was the Draw Your Dream School. We brought a whole bunch of different resources and paper and Legos and pipe cleaners and had all the school leadership in that group you saw earlier divide into 3 different groups and draw what they thought their dream early education school would be. And it's amazing, 3 different groups all working in a silo, and you'll see that all 3 of these groups really had these learning communities around the edge with an outdoor learning or shared space right in the middle, and then some gym and admin support kind of centralized. So it really started to align pretty clearly from just this first exercise. So we took a lot of this feedback and some of the feedback on the programmatic needs of the school and developed some planning concepts. So what we decided on was, being that this is going to be a 480 kid school, breaking it down into learning communities. So there's a lot of research that our partner had done on the scale of the learning communities for these younger kids, and really wanting to keep each learning community no bigger than 120 kids, so they can develop relationships within that space and not necessarily be overwhelmed with the amount of people that are on campus. So we broke it down into 4 learning communities, but also planned for a 5th learning community so that we didn't back ourselves into a corner on this property. So there is the opportunity to expand this site to 600 students in the future if we decided to. And then multi-purpose media center, you can see the other programmatic spaces. And this is kind of the plan that we developed with the school. We're calling it the Sunburst Plan. But you can see, again, those different learning communities all wrapped around this central outdoor green space with the administrative space in red on the south side, and then also distributed to support our educators in every learning community. And then the multi-purpose space and the food service pulled towards the front. Also, something that was unique here is the dining is actually distributed. So instead of having a huge dining room for 280 kids, we've scaled down even the dining to give it more of the family-style dining, and lunches are brought to the kids so that you have less transition time for kids having to move throughout the campus. So this is a snapshot of one of the learning studios, the tripod. So one of the interesting things that came out of the charrettes that we did was this idea of the front porch and the mudroom, just tying back to kind of the good Southern cultural elements of being at home. So what we did was we pulled all of the cubbies and the resources for the kids whenever they're going into the classroom out of the classroom into this shared discovery space in the middle of all the classrooms. And what that does was, for one, it gets kids hands-free before they move into the classroom, but it also gives the teachers back that much more teaching space in the classrooms. You're not losing the cubbies, as well as 4 feet in front of the cubbies for kids to walk up to them and use them. So it really gave the teachers back a lot more teaching space, and then pulled those outside. And then this idea of the mud room where you wash your hands is kind of the wet area. Here it's kind of interpreted as the experimental area, is right in between the 2 learning studios. So you can see the little desk with sinks where kids can come in after they go to recess, wash their hands, but at the same time, one of the classrooms could open up into that space and do a hands-on exercise or art experiment, or both of those classrooms could open up into that space and they could leverage team teaching and work together. So this is a view kind of looking into that mudroom space. And you can see a lot of the walls are clean, really trying to do mostly furniture in the classrooms to keep it flexible and minimize the built-in millwork to the cubbies on the exterior of the classroom. And then this is a small group room. So again here, the idea of inclusiveness was important. So every learning community will have a room that can support special education. So instead of doing just one classroom or one area, we made sure that it could happen in any learning community throughout the campus. And these small group rooms could be used for small group intervention, but also if you needed one as a sensory room, we've got the ability to transition that for higher need kids. So this is the idea of that discovery zone. You can see the connection to the classrooms with the transparency above the cubbies. So what that does, it allows teachers and principals to see in and out of the classroom, but at the same time when our younger kids are sitting down, they're not distracted because they can't see what's happening inside that discovery space. Also, outside of each of those small group spaces, which are in the light blue, creating different environments for kids to, whether it's give presentation or if they want to go sit down for reading time, just creating different types of spaces for kids to express themselves. And then again, trying to get natural light into the heart of the learning communities. And this is another view. You can see kind of one classroom on each side with the small group space and these little portal windows looking into the small group space. So this is the site plan, shows kind of how the building lays out on the site. You can see we're pulling the building off a good bit of North University Avenue. There's a wetlands area that we're trying to avoid so we don't have to pay for mitigation. And again, carpool, we've got 3 stacking lanes on site, making sure that we can maintain all of our carpool on site with bus stacking on the left-hand side of the property. And right in the middle of the campus, you can see that outdoor play space that really gets celebrated anytime kids are transitioning from dining or PE back to their core classrooms. They experience that outdoor play component, which is really important to their development. So this is a view of kind of the main entrance of the school. Again, you can see this building scale, all single story at the front, making it very approachable for kids. And then that interior courtyard, the building really wraps the entire thing. It's almost like a museum outdoor play space for kids to go and express themselves, play with different things. There's a trike trail, berms, a lot of different opportunities for kids to just have a good time. And here's another view, just looking inside of that outdoor play. And then this is pulled back. This is actually showing the multi-purpose area. So if you did want to have a community event, you can access the multi-purpose area directly from the parking lot and keep your school secure from any visitors. And then this is an overall of the campus. And you can see on the kind of the middle on the left-hand side, the shaded white area. That is a future learning community that we're planning for. So if we wanted to add another 120 learners to the campus, we could easily do that, and we have the infrastructure to do so. So this one as well, we try to make our lives as hard as possible. So again, we're looking at issuing construction documents for this in May. And this one we're working with Lemoyne Company as the CMAR contractor. Final pricing is expected to be back in June, and starting construction in July, again for July of 23 completion and an August 23 opening for the school. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bordelon, you want to talk about monthly updates?
Yes, sir. The monthly construction updates are included in your packet. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer those at this time.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. LeBou.
And I apologize, I've not opened the packet yet, but I noticed we have an agenda item for walkways at S.J. Montgomery, but where are we on the walkways for the JROTC building at Como?
I'm attempting to get 2 more bids so that we can satisfy the three bid requirement.
Do you have a timeline just so I can let them know?
I'm 2 or 3 weeks so I can get additional bids, and then it's going to depend upon material deliveries after that, availability of materials. So I don't know what the availability is, but as soon as I have that, I'll include that in the board update.
Okay, and awnings as well? Is that in the bid?
For Como,
Mm-hmm.
that's not in this, it's not in here, and it's not in the walkways presentation later. It'll be a separate item probably at the next meeting. I'll try to get the other 2 bids by the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Kyle,
Yes,
what
Yes.
about Dusson? The overhangs at Dusson, have they started that? I think
that's,
you had said it was up for bid. And
yes, that's agenda item, the approval of the bids is agenda item, 3.29. Approval of the bids for Dusson, Montgomery, Judy's Middle, and the 4th one, J. Wallace James.
So at this time, you're not sure when we'll get started on that project?
Don't have a timeline yet. Once we sign the contract, the contractor will advise us of when the materials can be delivered, and he'll get started as soon as possible.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bordelon.
Yes, sir.
List of bids approved to be advertised by the superintendent, Mr. Francis. Mr. Dugas.
That's just an informational item. It's just an informational item of bids that were advertised.
All right. All right, now that we have all this information, we will begin our board meeting. Yes, ma'am, Ms. LeBou.
I did have one question. I guess Superintendent Trosclair stepped out, but the 120 addition that you have to the Truman Elementary, is that anticipation of the legislation to mandate pre-K? Have y'all run out those numbers to see what additional numbers we may be looking at?
You're learning a lot more than that, but due to that, whenever we were meeting with Mr. Broussard early on, we wanted to make sure we maximized the capacity on the site and didn't back ourselves in the corner. So.
Thank you.
All right, I'll call out the agenda items, and if anyone wishes to pull one, let me know, and we'll move on. Item 3.1, discussion or action concerning resolution 4-22-2029, arts or education.
Pull that, please.
3.2, discussion or action concerning resolution 4.22-2030, employs special counsel. 3.3, discussion or action concerning underwriter for bond issues. 3.4, discussion or action concerning the 2022-2023 retention stipend for classroom teachers. 3.5, discussion or action concerning the 2022-2023 returning stipend for classroom teachers. 3.6, discussion or action concerning the 22-23 recruitment stipend for classroom teachers. 3.7, discussion or action concerning resolution 4-22-2031 School Library Month. 3.8, discussion or action concerning West Side Elementary ESL program expansion. 3.9, discussion or action concerning an early obligation release of funds. 3.10, discussion or action concerning quotes for Acadiana High School Fieldhouse classroom. 3.11, discussion or action concerning quotes for a classroom partition for the Acadiana High School Fieldhouse. 3.12, discussion or action concerning quotes for painting of Northside High School Stadium. 3.13, discussion or action concerning quotes of painting Carencro High School Stadium. 3.14, discussion or action concerning painting for Como High School Stadium and related budget revision. 3.15, discussion or action concerning revisions to Appendix A, the schedule of fees for policy JS, student fees, fines, and charges for the 2022-2023 school year. 3.16, discussion or action concerning revisions to the 2022-2023 district calendar. 3.17, discussion or action concerning bid award for Woodville dish room equipment bid. 3.18, child nutritional services, discussion or action concerning the bid award for Woodville serving line equipment. 3.19, discussion or action concerning proposed plan of reorganization of staff in the Associate Superintendent Department. 3.20, discussion or action concerning the proposed plan of reorganization of staff in the Federal Programs Department. 3.21, discussion or action concerning revision to the supplemental pay section of the 2021-2022 salary schedule. 3.22, discussion or action concerning quotes for Austin Elementary marquee sign. 3.23, discussion or action concerning quotes for Paulboro Middle intercom replacement. 3.24, discussion or action concerning award of quote for door replacement, package number 1. 3.25, discussion or action concerning award of quote for door replacement, package number 2. 3.26, discussion and or action concerning bids for kitchen HVAC phase 2. 3.27, discussion or action concerning the bid for Southside High baseball and softball field dugouts. 3.28, discussion or action concerning a budget revision for the office consolidation project, boardroom addition at the district office building. 3.29, discussion or action concerning approval for bids for walkway covers for 4 schools. 3.30, discussion or action concerning bid number 45-22 for printing and binding of science K-12 instructional materials. 3.31, discussion or action concerning the sales tax collection report for February 2022. 3.32, discussion or action concerning budget to actual reports for March of 2022. 3.33, discussion and or action concerning the grant fund summary for March 2022. 3.34, discussion or action concerning the 2021-2022 third quarter budget revisions for applicable funds. 3.35, discussion or action concerning the minutes of March 9th, March 12th, and March 29th. 3.36, discussion and or action concerning online auction of surplus equipment and supplies. And number 3.37, approval of all consent items.
Mr. President, can we add 3.6 to the items pulled, please?
3.6.
Thank you.
That leaves 3.1 and 3.6. Are we all in agreement of the pulled items? Okay, the board will entertain a motion to approve all items not pulled.
Mr. Angel, I'd like permission to read the resolution concerning libraries.
Sure.
Well, let me just, Dr. Aguilar, if you, I move that the board approve all items not pulled.
All right.
Well, then, we need a second.
Just a second, Doc. Let me get a second.
Second.
Okay.
Resolution 04-022-2031, School Library Month, April 2022. Whereas the school library is to ensure that students and staff are effective users of ideas and information, and whereas the school librarian's role is to provide the leadership and expertise necessary to ensure that the school library is an integral part of the instructional program of the school, and whereas the Lafayette Parish School Board has entrusted the school librarian in each school to teach the skills of locating and using information through traditional resources and new technologies to provide literature, appreciation activities, and to guide and encourage content and recreational reading to every student. And whereas lifelong learning begins and is systematically developed through the school library curriculum of the elementary and secondary schools, and whereas the school library contributes to the individual growth and development of all students while fostering both excellence and equity in education, and whereas the school librarians of Lafayette Parish have dedicated themselves to work for quality school libraries for all students. Now therefore be it resolved that the Lafayette Parish School Board does hereby proclaim April 2022 as School Library Month in all of the public schools of the Lafayette Parish school system, and calls upon school administrators, teachers, students, and citizens of Lafayette Parish to recognize and support this action and to participate throughout the month of April in the celebration of School Library Month.
Thank you, Dr. Aguilar. We have a motion and a second that we adopt all items not pulled. I would at this time ask if anyone wants to, anyone in the audience wants to make comments on any of the items that were not pulled.
Julia Reed, President, Lafayette Parish Association of Educators. Speaking on 3.4 and 3.5, I would first like to start out by thanking you for putting this policy back on the agenda with some amendments to make the stipends more equitable for our members. We really appreciate this. It helps teachers to understand that their humanity is seen, and so we really appreciate that. However, I would never lose an opportunity to mention that money is not the entire solution to the educator shortage, although it is a good start. And I just want to remind you that it's been said time and time again that there are things added to teachers' plates and never taken off. And there is no amount of money that can buy you a bigger plate. You only have so much time. There will only ever be 24 hours in a day. There will only ever be a 7.5-hour school day. And we have to start making decisions about what demands we're placing on the time of teachers and other educators, because this money cannot buy them more time at school, more time at home with their families. I collected some feedback from my members in preparation from this, and I can say that what they would like to see in addition to the money is, number one, they feel like they would like to have more of a seat at the table with decision making. They don't want to leave the classroom to get their voice heard. They want things to be taken off of their plate. They would like to have more support that feels like support instead of more work. So we would like you to have this money. However, we would also like to keep the conversation going on ways that we can encourage teachers to remain in the profession and to come into the profession. So thank you for your time.
You're welcome, and I trust the young one is doing okay? Good. Any other comments on items not pulled? If not, all those, I'm sorry, we'll vote on the motion to approve all the items not pulled. Madam Secretary, we'll call for the vote.
8 for, none against.
Okay, motion carries. Moving along to our consent agenda then. First item on our consent agenda, on our items pool is discussion concerning Resolution 4-22-2029, Arts or Education. Ms. LeBoux, Ms. Morrison?
Thank you, President Angel. If I could, I'd like to read the resolution first and then give some comments. Arts or Education, Resolution 04-22-2029. Whereas all students have the right to an arts education that includes dance, media arts, music, theater, and visual arts taught by certified art educators in partnership with community providers. Whereas arts education has the power to change students' lives. Whereas arts education is a key to reigniting student learning in a post-COVID-19 world. And whereas arts education helps nurture healthy, inclusive communities where all points of view are respected. And whereas arts education experiences help students understand their own cultural roots and appreciate others' cultural roots and traditions. And whereas arts education supports the social and emotional well-being of students and fosters a more positive, safer school environment. Whereas arts education is a part of the well-rounded education for every student as outlined in the Every Student Succeeds Act and in state law. And therefore, the Lafayette Parish School Board pledges to maintain and grow our arts education programs in the 2022-2023 school year and beyond. I was sent this resolution or a proposal to introduce this resolution by an amazing band teacher in Lafayette Parish, as well as the father of 3 students in Lafayette Parish. And he's actually here, Mr. Greg Ashert, who was my daughter's band teacher and got her to play the euphonium. I don't think this could be more timely as we just had our Arts Expo last Saturday, and anybody that was privileged to go and see the amazing art produced by our students in Lafayette Parish. Everything from sculpture to pottery to painting to live painting, musical performances. It was phenomenal. So I feel like this is such a positive point in our educational system. My daughter was blessed to be part of the piano program at Alamo, pushed by Mr. Ashers actually to look more into music. And so I'm just very grateful that she had that experience. I know her educational experience was so enriched, and I just hope that we work hard to prioritize more opportunities for kids in our system.
Yes, and we just don't realize how much talent our young people have. If you look around the boardroom, this is all paintings from our students at LPSS. You know, my heart lies within the arts. I've been very involved in the Acadiana Center of the Arts and supporting the students. And like I said, they just do so much for our community. And we take art for granted, but art is special. It's a special talent. And students that are able to produce this is very blessed. I wish that I could pick up a canvas and just draw something spectacular. And so anyway, support the arts, support our students. And also, I think we have a board member that's on Acadiana Center of the Arts, Miss Hannah. There she is. She is an artist as well. You would like to hear from Miss Hannah.
Okay. Yes, I mean, y'all know that I love this resolution. So, and also I just wanted to lend my perspective of growing up here and then leaving for 18 years and then coming back. You know, Lafayette Parish and Lafayette, Louisiana really is an incredibly special and talented place. We are an expressive culture. We have so many artists that we don't even say are artists, and I think that we should celebrate that, and we should also encourage it and also give. I really would love for our education to show our artists a future in terms of a profession. Growing up, you know, I was an artist all along, but I didn't see a future as a vocation. And now that I am a professional artist, you know, I'm so happy that I can say that. And I think that more of our children and our future could be, you know, lend the world their talents. So very proud to be a part of this resolution. Thank you.
And Ms. Donchell, if I may, let the board know that Dr. Rabelais and his staff are currently working on an initiative for next school year. Our plan is to start with our pre-K students and expose them to 2 different art experiences in their pre-K year, spring, fall, and their kindergarten year, all the way through 5th grade, so that by the time they leave our elementary schools, they've been exposed to a wide variety of experiences in the various arts. So that'll be coming to you all once all that's set up and scheduled.
Awesome. That's great.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Ms.
Would you
LeBeau.
indulge me, let Mr. Asher say a few words as well?
Of course. On his way up, would you, I don't think we have a motion on the floor. Would you make a motion? That
I'm sorry, can we make a motion to approve Resolution 0422-2029?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mary. Okay. Yes, sir.
I apologize.
My fault.
Good evening. I don't want to take much of your time, but I just wanted to say how, as we've all heard, how important the arts are. The arts are important for every single child, whether it's the child looking for just that edge to get into a top-tier college, or the student just music or art. It's the only reason they come to school. I've had so many middle school students in my 27 years of teaching that, you know, I'm a band director, but band was the only reason they came to school. And they got through school. As they get older, and now I'm teaching their children, they say thank you, because I survived school because I was able to do something in the arts. And it doesn't matter if it's dance, media, visual art. My children are all in the talented arts program that they just thrive in that environment. And as we saw Saturday, it's just an incredible opportunity. So thank you. All the smiling faces show how much you care for the arts, and I appreciate that. So I hope you'll support this. Thank you.
And I just wanted to add that I had the opportunity to attend the festival 2 years ago, and then again this year, and invited to present our 2 students that won the art award. So that was so rewarding for me and for the students, and support the arts, and you know, work with our students and support them. Thanks.
If there's no more discussion, Madam Secretary, we'll call for the vote. I tend to agree with you.
Eight for, none against.
Okay, motion carries. At this time, I will accept a motion on item 3.6.
Mr. President, I move that the board approves a one-time recruitment stipend as detailed in the document attached to this agenda item for classroom teachers who meet the listed criteria.
We have a motion.
Second.
Second by Ms. LeBeau. Any discussion on this motion by members of the audience? Members of the board? Yes, sir.
I had to pull it because it did not have a recommended action, so we simply had to formally make that motion.
No other discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, I'm sorry. Madam Secretary will call for the vote. Well, we used to do it in Karen.
Can you give us the motion again? You got it?
Karen Crow needed an intercom system.
8 for, none against.
Thank you. We have one more item on our agenda, an expulsion appeal. I want to thank everyone for cooperating with us tonight before we begin our last